to the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. It is 6 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock on this, the 4th day of January 2024. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, on the show this morning, you just heard from Paul Richards. We'll hear from Richard Raghuparising. We got Ruben. We got Shane in the mix as well. Let's get straight into it with the WTs, see what's happening weather and traffic-wise. Nothing to tell you out in San Fernando and South Trinidad. You're going to get some traffic by Chase Village as you head northbound under Solo. Chaguanas Main Road is beginning to build a little bit. And then just after, Monroe Road, it is slow going towards the interchange, all right? Getting on Valencia Stretch, a bit busy, going to Santa Rosa, approaching Piarco Lights, Trinidad City towards Orange Grove, a little volume, but after that, it's some traffic as you head towards Yui. After that, it's pretty much clear. A little build-up as you pass through Aranguez, Zalscoro. After that, it's pretty much clear into Port of Spain, all right? Out of the west, I got nothing to tell you about. Eastern Main Road, just approaching Mokoya in the Tunapuna area is where you're going to get some traffic this morning. It is 24 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 26 in our beautiful sister isle of Tobago. And what the Met Office is saying, our weather for today, generally sunny, hazy and breezy, interrupted by partly cloudy periods with showers in a few areas with a cool night. 32 degrees maximum forecast temperature for both islands. All right, so that's your WTs. And quickly, let's check some temps across our listenership and see who sent us hellos first thing this morning. In Toronto, you're sitting at -4. Yikes. Yeah, yesterday was 0. Now you're at -4. And of course, by 9 o'clock, it will be -7. Miami, you're at 17. Orlando, 16. New York, 2 degrees. Atlanta, 1 degree. London, 7. You're getting colder. Tampa, 18. Washington, D.C., you're sitting at 14 degrees. All right? Checking to see who sent us hellos first thing on this Thursday morning. Oliver Man Warren, Wendy and James, Rena Boodoo Jennings, DJ Ray out in Tampa, Carol Joseph, Marcia Rock out in Florida, Wayne B in Covington, Georgia, Gloria Gray, Garth Celia in Baltimore, Boy Bedesi, Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida, Richard M. Jeremiah, Trinidad, Margot, John Cato, Maria Celia, good morning to you. Michael, across the pond, good morning to you. Dan Raj, good morning to you as well. Hope you guys had a great evening. And good morning to you, Paul Richards. What's shaking?
Morning, Steve. Morning, everyone. Good Thursday morning to you.
Yeah, morning, pal. How art thou?
I'm good. Giving thanks. Just want to get the news. Just heard of another shooting in Diego Martin, Bagatelle last night.
Yeah. There was Tunapuna by the market. There was Bagatelle, Diego Martin, and unconfirmed, but there was also shots fired by Queen's Hall. I don't know what happened yesterday evening. So 2 in Diego Martin, 2 in Tunapuna. We had the guy out in Big Yard yesterday. That's 5. Am I missing anything? God, it's so shameful to say I'm missing one. Well, that's 5.
Yep. Let's go to the more regal news. Former Prime Minister Basil Pandey's body came back into the country last night.
Yeah. When did you say his funeral is going to be?
It's next Tuesday morning.
Tuesday at Sapa. Okay.
At Sapa in San Fernando. So.
Right. Wow. Okay.
He's from South, so.
Mm-hmm.
And condolence books are open at all regional city corporations and at the Red House.
Mm-hmm.
So body was brought back. His body, the coffin draped with the national flag by members of the City Defense Force. And Foreign and Caribbean Affairs Minister Dr. Amy Brown was there with members of the Pandey family. His wife, Makita, were on the flight. I saw the family also yesterday afternoon at the Red House who extends to the president and the president of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, signing the condolence book at the Red House yesterday. So,
Yeah.
state funeral next week, Tuesday morning, which I'm so happy about. He deserves that kind of honor, Mr. Pandey, that is. So.
Yeah. I was watching news briefly this morning from last night, and they actually did a vox pop, and it was mostly everybody was saying yes, state funeral. Some was saying put a statue, and it was from all creeds and race. So it was nice to see that.
Well, he was a very loved and respected person. I mean, he was flawed
Yeah.
like every other human being, but for the most part, he was loved and very respected in this country, and people appreciate what he's done for the country in his 60 plus years of service, 60 plus years from the trade union movement into politics, and always calling for constitutional reform and unity. So the old
Yeah,
silver fox is gone, but will never be forgotten.
for sure. For sure. His lines. You remember the journalist that he said that's insulting? What's the journalist's name again?
Natalie Williams.
Natalie.
Is it Natalie Williams or is it Shaman Babylon?
Now you throw me for 6.
One of the two.
I'm gonna find it.
No, it was Natalie Williams.
I think you're right there.
Said something else to Shaman Babylon, which was equally as what's the word? Crafty. Let me use the word crafty to be kind. But he was very quick-witted and very theatrical. So he had a kind of interesting relationship with the media. Very supportive sometimes. If you crossed him in the wrong way, he was not afraid to put you in your place.
Oh no.
So
the last time I saw him was at Cricket at the Oval.
Last time I saw him was at the swearing in and inauguration of President Kangaloo. And he walked into Napa's auditorium, not the auditorium, the reception area, and stole the show. Everybody flocked to him, and then he stood and spoke to Prime Minister Keith Rowley and Mrs. Rowley for a while. He was accompanied by Makeda. So, and the thing about Mr. Pandey is that he didn't let politics get in the way of paying homage to people. Like when presidents were sworn in, when they had functions, he attended almost everything and celebrated whoever was having their moment at that time,
Yeah.
Which was very, very commendable. But he'll certainly be a character who will be studied in history books. His name will appear in countless history books and in political science classes and sociology classes for decades to come. I don't know. I don't know that he would have wanted a statue, but I mean, I guess that's up to the family what they think is appropriate in terms of the country paying homage to him. Justin suggesting rename the airport, but that could be controversial because of the kind of situation that happened with the airport. The airport was clouded in a lot of controversy and about corruption and that sort of stuff. So I don't know that the airport may be amenable to all.
Yeah, I remember that was a talk. But it was during his tenure between 95 and 2000 when then journalist for CCN, Natalie Williams, asked Mr. Pandey if he had taken steps to assist a friend in getting a government contract. And then that's when he said, "That's insulting," twice.
Yeah. He didn't last too long after that.
No. Trying to get the exact date of that.
Anyway, so Mr. Pandey's body is back home. It was taken to Das Funeral Home in San Fernando. And of course, is he going to be lying in state? I think I read something about that, if I'm not mistaken.
I think I read something about that too. in passing though.
The Red House. I think so. Let me check. Yes, it will lie in state at the rotunda basement of the Red House from tomorrow, Friday, 5th of
Hmm.
January. And I guess Monday also. So, and the condolence, yeah, but the condolence book will be written from today, Thursday, from 1 to 6 p.m.
Hmm.
Friday, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Monday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. also. Um, so, and the regional corporations of the consulates, embassies, and international missions of Trinidad Tobago around the world, people around the world who are interested in paying their respects and signing the condolence books.
Hmm.
So, that's the big news. It will be the big news for the next couple of days. Mr. Pandey will be the first prime minister to be laid to rest under Hindu rights, and and that will take place on Tuesday.
Yeah,
Mm,
9
Karen
a.m. is
is the Prime Minister and his office are getting heat about the first release concerning the death of Mr. Pandey. Well, that is inaccurate, Karen, because the first person to indicate publicly was Makila Pandey on a Facebook page.
Mhm.
So I don't know where you'll get that information from, and people and the misinformation. The first person to post about it was Makila Pandey
Correct.
on her Facebook page on, I do believe it's Sunday night or Monday night.
Yeah, New Year's Day.
Yeah, so kind of thing. So people need to get their facts straight. Never a dull moment.
Yeah,
So,
somebody.
you know, quibbling about details is not going to help me this morning.
Hmm.
What else is happening in the news? I mean, the killings continue, unfortunately. Two
Oh,
shot dead, amongst three injured uh, in front of the Tunapuna market last night.
it's craziness, man. The police
Yep,
station is like less than a kilometer away.
yep, it's one block basically away.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know, 4 days of the year has gone already, and we have started with a bloody start. I mean,
Yeah.
look where the market, that's such a busy area.
No, yeah. And in the talking is busy around it because there's several fast food outlets on that stretch, and it is a busy
Exactly.
intersection between is that Tunapuna Road and the Eastern Main Road.
Yeah, that Turupuna Road, you're right. That's a busy road.
So that's a busy, not intersection, but I mean the Tunapuna Road joins with the Eastern Main Road there, and that's, I mean, one of the main roads, if not the main road, in Tunapuna. So I don't know. Not that the
It's
bandits really care,
they don't.
they don't really
Clearly,
care.
we saw that at the end of last year when they drive on a highway. I don't know. I don't. It's
And now
you know.
information coming out on social media unconfirmed is that there's a shooting at Bagatelle Road in Diego Martin, and there are two people lying on the ground.
Yeah, that was like I have a video for that, but I deliberately don't send those videos. It's
I
I don't
don't know.
I don't know what to say. I mean,
I think
I
anybody knows
believe
what to say.
the Minister of National Security. I was listening, wasn't watching, because they had some internet issues where the Minister of National Security was on, and really didn't say anything. I think he said they're trying to repair the boat, something about the borders and getting boats repaired. Well, step on it. Why you wait till they get in such a dilapidated state? It's been like this for years. Boats are coming in. People know where the boats are. Where is your intel? You should know. I think you might know.
Do you think
These like
make a difference to this? I don't know. Let me just say what I want to say.
No, say it. Get it off your chest. Don't bottle it in.
Let me behave myself this morning.
Why start now?
Let me behave myself this morning.
Why start
Engage
now?
in obtuse behavior. In obtuse behavior. So, yes, I saw something on the news last night. Minister of National Security saying something about the police are going to be doing better and all of that. But I think at that point, everybody just thinks of it as old talk, you know.
Well, I think there was a communal.
The results are not in keeping with what is being propagated by the Ministry of National Security. So, that's what I will say. You understand? And I will leave it there. I will leave it there. I was printing news for the other frequencies. That's why.
Okay.
Avril is out of hospital and back home, thank God.
Yes, she is. She was discharged yesterday. We chat daily on WhatsApp. She was discharged daily. Yeah. That Sahara does. I mean, she suffers with asthma, so that Sahara does really take a toll on her.
It's not the Sahara dust. She got the flu.
Yeah, she got the flu, but the Sahara dust on Christmas Day was horrible. And you know, I am so wicked. Every day I tell her, how is the food?
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to tell you the responses are. She's back, and I just said, food. And she smiled.
All right, good morning, Zena. We're going to open the phone lines just for you all, because some of you always complain that we do include you in the conversation early and we don't take calls. We're taking calls this morning.
Yeah.
So you can start dialing right now, Madam Zena, and anyone else who wants to call to weigh in on what they think is an appropriate honor the country can bestow on Bastille Pandey for his works in the country.
Yes. Good morning to you, Ian R. Joseph. Ian
that
R.
Chat is being hot, you know. If you want some action, go in that chat. I never see a chat is being hot like that chat in the morning.
Yeah.
From a whole different discussion in that chat sometimes.
I don't know what you're talking about, yes? Brenda Isaac, Randy Kelly, Karen Yipnow, Ms. Maloney Dudu, good morning to you. And good morning to you, caller. What's happening?
Morning, gentlemen. So I'm taking call because a little of a full cast today, so we're talking whole morning. I'm taking calls this morning, Paul.
You know, I don't understand. We decide to take calls.
If the man, let him say what he feels, Steve. Why are you getting upset for? Let the man say what he feels. Nothing wrong with that. You could take it personal, but oh God. Let the man say what he feels. Let him say so. Nothing wrong with that.
Decide to open the God. No, we don't have a full cast.
You have the right to express erroneous information and opinions too. Let him say what he wants to say.
All right. You win, Paul. You win.
Go ahead,
my friend.
Anyway, Paul.
Vent. Go ahead.
Yes. I must do that. I noticed something yesterday. I thought I'd mention it on the radio. I'm glad that you all take calls early this morning so I could get the opportunity to speak about it. A lot of business, because of how the bulletin was written, I think a lot of companies misread the bulletin. I noticed yesterday a lot of national
Could you describe what bulletin you're talking about us first so we know?
It was the notification sent out by, I forget the ministry, about the how the flag is supposed to be flown on Monday.
Okay, all right. Well, they updated and said until Mr. Pandey's funeral now.
Oh, they updated it?
Yeah, and said until Mr. Pandey's funeral.
Okay, that is good then. Because how it was written, it was supposed to be on Monday only. But I noticed up to yesterday, people were still flying their flag at half-mast. So I didn't know that they rewrote it, sent out a new one to be flown half-mast until then, which is good. That's a big honor, and only so far, only the Queen I've seen gotten done. So, and they're going out in fine fashion. That's all I have to talk about this morning.
All right.
Have a good one.
All the best to you. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to Steve. Good morning to Paul.
You're sung in half a week. I am in shock. Paul
Yeah,
Ponecam. Oh, there's a camera.
I just
Morning.
got out to get a cup of coffee. Morning, good morning.
I left a cup of coffee on the bedside table for you. What's your story?
You need to warm up. It get cool.
Yeah, it get cold. Come to put it in the
It's like
microwave.
you. The coffee like you.
Charmin. Here's Charmin calling.
That's loud, Gina.
Charmin calling me to tell me, Paul calling your name.
Oh,
Yes.
The coffee
But
like you. It get cold quick.
I want to say it like Paul. If I tell you what I would have switched Lincoln's story. You know how I'd have put it? When the mornings had a juicy talk. And I want to get in to say something. You know? But this morning only I start too with a juicy topic. So I don't know if I have any suggestions for that question that Ole asked.
Would you be against the airport being renamed the Bansley Pandi International Airport?
No, I don't want any that to remind me of that scandal. What I wanted to ask you all is, what do you think about a child 14 years getting blows from the mother and the father holding her together?
I tend not to get involved in people and their parenting methodologies.
But
Yeah.
you saw the video.
No, I didn't see the video. I heard about the video, but I am. You see, when you get involved in how people discipline their children, when the children go do stupidness and you want to open your mouth and say, well, the parents let them do what they want and they wasn't disciplining them, there's a whole different discussion. So I don't get involved in telling parents how to discipline the children.
Well, let me leave.
Unless, of course, they're breaking the law and
Let me
abusing the children.
What came to my mind is that others were wrong. You don't let young boys see me, you know, like a man partaking in that against a female. One thing, my father was a headmaster. In those days, they called him headmaster. And one thing my father always said, and he never did, was to flog us as girls. And he never, because he was never in agreement with a man putting his hand on a woman. If those boys in the class or whatever school he was at, they would get a little bench. Never one day such a female. Well, of course, he was a Roman Catholic, so he was always in Catholic school. So, you know, the nuns
You were raised by a Roman Catholic?
Pardon me? Of
you
course.
You were raised by a Roman Catholic? And you used to be in tongue in all them hot pants carnival?
And not like Richard, you know. Richard knew that, I'm not like Richard, you know, being a heathen or pagan or whatever. I was a well-brought up Roman Catholic girl. Well.
Except
yes.
Tuesday.
Well, carnival is carnival. What carnival is?
Oh, so all the laws of the Bible apply for every day except carnival, Monday and Tuesday. Okay, I understand. I didn't read that part of the Bible, but thanks for telling me.
Well, I want to leave
the Bible that says the laws of the Bible apply to every day except carnival, Monday and Tuesday. Sorry, I didn't read that part.
Well, let me tell you something. You know, if I say what I have to say, no, you will say yes, because you ain't young anymore, you will say that, but I think it gone the way of that now, the way of the flesh, the raw flesh. I'd like to dress up in my bathsuit and think kind of, but I mean, for what I see going on now, I think it take the cake, ice, and everything. Well.
It's already started. It just in our social media then, so we didn't see, but already started.
Oh gosh! All right, let me leave you. Charmaine, good morning, and thanks if I didn't wake up. You were going to wake me up to hear Paul and Steve talking me early morning.
As usual, we love doing it.
All right, gentlemen. Let me
all right,
leave the lines. Let somebody
Take
else
care.
call. Bye.
Aye. You know, and for those on the highways and on the byways, if you're heading eastbound on the Churchill Roosevelt Highway by the El Socorro walkover, which is just eastbound. It is just after courts. You're going to bounce up traffic. Someone just got knocked down and is lying on the road.
Oh Lord.
Under the walk over. Expect
I don't know
traffic.
what you have to tell people about those walkovers again.
You
You're
know,
right. They've crossed the dangerous highway right under the walkover because they don't want to go up some stairs and cross.
yeah,
So you put your life at risk because you're basically being lazy.
yeah.
What I will tell you at that point.
Under the walkover, you know. Clearly he's deceased.
There's a report in the Express, an update on the suspect in the shooting of the mother and daughter in Glencoe. Is it on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday morning. The officers report that he is cooperating. When they found him in Blanchisseuse or in Abrima, he was in an olive green t-shirt, camouflage cargo pants, black belts, and black shoes. So that sounded like he was in army uniform
Fatigue.
somewhat.
Yeah.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And they said he was disheveled and out of it. He was walking along the Blanchisseuse road in Abrima. I'm reading from the Express here, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And he was simply walking north on the roadway, apparently unsure where he was going, so he was out of it. They said he was trying to make his way home. I don't know where he was living, so I can't confirm or refute that. He said they called out to him. He responded. He stopped without resisting. He was searched, but nothing dangerous or illegal was found on him. He didn't seem to have any visible injuries, but he was taken to the Arima Health Facility where he was examined, and there were no issues to report health-wise. He was then taken to the Besson Street Police Station, where he has been questioned by police.
Mm-hmm.
Trinidad and Tobago regiment shells were said to have been found at the scene, so he more than likely would have used the regiment-issued weapon to kill his estranged spouse and her mother. I have not heard of a more tragic story in a long while.
And that is sad.
He said she was shot multiple times. You know, the wife, that is, and the mother-in-law was found in a crouch position on the western side of the living room, which means they were, of course, trying to break from this. I don't want to say crazy man, you know, but I don't know. So he decided on this course of action.
Mm-hmm.
After, of course, the woman took out a protection order against him some time ago. You know?
But how many times have we heard of people putting out restraining order, protection orders, and nothing happens?
Well, I believe the Attorney General needs to revise the laws, regulations, and policies regarding restraining orders. Because the way it's presently constructed, the person has to literally do something before the police can act on a restraining order.
Yeah.
And I think a restraining order should be, once it is granted, it should be accompanied by electronic monitoring bracelet, which I think was when that law was passed. I was in the parliament then, and part of it was to protect women by setting off an alarm for persons fitted with electronic bracelets in situations like this. So law enforcement knows that the person has reached a particular distance from the person, and well, it does seem to be applied at all properly. From my understanding, only 48 or 50 have been applied in terms of electronic bracelets because of some issue again. So I don't know that situation, and the fact that I don't think it's the first time he breached the restraining order either.
Yeah.
If according to news reports. So
yeah, let's grab this call there, Paul. Is it Mr. Patrick?
Yes, sir. Morning.
Yeah, morning. I thought I heard.
No,
Yeah. Good.
I sit down for a little while and I'm observing the crime pattern in Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm trying to analyze something. How could we stop revenge killing? Because 99% of all them killing, they revenge killing. Something happen and a man come back and kill people. Or something happen and a man come back and shoot down the man. And last time in Tongue, the Belmont, they come back and they shoot the girl. They say she was involved in the same gang thing. The whole gang thing was going on there. To Napuna market last night, a guy sent 2 clippings from me. The first one was, they was beating a man. They beat up a man. And next thing, like the man come back or somebody come back and shoot all of them in the market. You understand?
Right.
You understand? So revenge killing going on in this place. How we can stop people from doing revenge killing? Which government in the world could stop that? Because if me and you have a altercation, you have a dispute, and I decide I want to kill you, me think nobody will really stop that. You know? It's a mind thing. How we dealing with that? How we dealing with that? The Minister of National Security can't deal with that. Police can't deal with that.
Well, Mr. Patrick, the first thing is that if they don't have illegal guns, they can't shoot somebody.
But you could never stop an illegal gun.
Well, there are jurisdictions that have been successful in stopping the level of illegal guns that we see in this country. So I don't agree with that statement either.
But I'm telling you, I don't know which part in the world ever stop an illegal gun.
There are many countries where it's very
Internet
difficult.
shut down, apparently, like the internet shut down.
Morning, Rich.
If they have certain things where they could detect the gun, right? But illegal gun and some of them killing with the soldier man and them, that illegal gun. It's a legal bullet in the situation.
Are you talking about illegal guns or legal guns? And those situations are minor compared to the revenge gang killings that we're seeing.
Yeah, but the issue is revenge. Revenge. How are you stopping revenge?
You are conflicting revenge and situations like this situation with the TT Defense Force guy.
It's two different situations.
I don't know that's a revenge situation. How are you putting revenge in that?
One is domestic violence.
One is revenge.
Yeah, one is murder. We don't know if it's revenge.
Majority of the shooting while you see taking place, shooting down people on the streets and shooting down people about. Like people taking revenge.
Right, but you are conflating what happened with the defense force guy. Because you are the one who bring in legal guns and what happened with the...
Well, I don't know that it's revenge, you know. You may have gang warfare. Because you may have...
revenge too. Gang warfare is revenge.
It's not necessarily... You're using the word revenge when it may not be revenge. It may be battling for turf.
Wait is. Me and you have a beef. Me and you have a beef, right?
You may be battling for turf. You may be battling for all sorts of things, and it's not just revenge. And even if it's revenge, that does not make it okay. And because you are wanting to call it revenge and say, well, you can't do nothing about that and throw up your hands, what? You just say, well, it's revenge. We can't do nothing about that and go on with our lives.
How are we educating people? How are we educating people to resolve issues?
We have to fix all of the problems in terms of what's fueling this crime factor. And just saying it's revenge is a little simplistic to me.
No.
I think it's much
How are we
more
dealing with the... All right. It's another thing they had, what do you call a conflict resolution? Where you could have go to the police station and you could have go somewhere and they get some supervisor or somebody to deal with conflict resolution. How we dealing with conflict resolution in the society? Because the fastest thing for a man to do, for a woman to do, is to get angry and to get vexed and decide to lash out.
Yeah, but Mr. Patrick, there are many Trinidadians and Tobagonians across the country who get vexed with each other and don't kill each other.
Yes, but not everybody has the same mindset.
Exactly. So obviously it is a group who have access to illegal guns. You have gang warfare involved in all of it. And you have random shootings that are taking place where you're targeting one person, but other people are getting killed.
Right. How we stopping that? How we stopping that?
We have to find a way. We can't say how we stopping it and be paralyzed.
No, I looking for solutions, sir. We don't know what's going on already. What is the solution for that? Is that what we're trying to find out for the longest while? Because 600 murder, 500 something murder, how much woman get beat, how much man get beat, how we dealing with that situation, boy? What is the solution for these things? We looking here, nobody's turned down up in the air yet, but we still looking. Is that the youth man, you talk to him, you tell him come out of crime, go back to school, and then the next thing, he get killed and dead. You hear this? How we dealing with people who mindset us as well already?
The solutions and there are ways to start to address the issue. It takes
We
political
bring it back to
will.
the mind to be
It
civil.
takes political will and it takes action.
And education and home upbringing and everything.
Yeah, and everybody talks about
that.
everybody talks about that, and everybody talks about, oh, we have to start off in the education system, blah, blah, blah. How long we in that? We in that 10, 15, 20 years now? So when did it start in the education system? Did it start at all?
And it's still continuing.
But they love to say that, oh, they love to use the word holistic. You have to be holistic about it. You have to start with the education system. You have to start with anger management. We have to start. Bloody well start.
They say the man was refused bail. They get the man bail. He come out and have a license for him. So everything fall apart then.
But the system itself, if you have somebody who's armed and is a threat and has threatened to kill somebody in a domestic violence situation, and he's also a precepted officer, then there is a bigger burden not to grant bail in situations like that. That's my personal opinion.
We've seen everything failing then.
And it failed in that situation, but that's not the first situation of domestic violence where the system has failed. All right, thanks, Mr. Patrick. All right, we have a lot to fix. We have a lot of calls coming through. And the state has to get serious about the kinds of actions that we see them putting in place rather than talk. Yeah. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning, fellas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me throw into that. One, there's the thing, there's a Trinity there. There's the thing called gang interveners and things. Yeah, I think they had it, Father Harvey, and they were part of it. I don't know if it's still around, but in the States, the statistics have shown that gang interventions have succeeded in all our beef thing and cutting down revenge killing, as he said. So, and they like 60%. They are normally made up of ex-gang members, community people, respected people in specific communities. They're trained in mediation, social conflict, and they intervene. They know that this hit going to happen. There's people beef on. They go in, they talk to sides, and they've been able to quell it down, and they have done that. So they have that. They have those things. Another thing is community. Good community policing have also intervened because community police people are most likely social. They're trained social to mediate and then they approach, they understand the community. So they know when Mr. A is drunk, he's going to beat his wife. So they intervene.
I hear everybody community police officers, but you know what they say? You know what is the current narrative of the TTPS? That all police officers are community police officers.
Yeah, well, right. That's the thing, and that's how when you're interviewing them, how you define them, how they define it, because nobody has defined how a community police officer should be trained. But as you say, you have to try. And the thing is, then because Mr. Trinity is asking how you intervene in the thing, and the thing is, there are programs that have shown success in other spaces in cutting down beef. So I just given him that information in cutting down beef and how it works. We ain't going on with what we do and what we all do. I just showing you that. So the community policing is another one. And then the proper social workers in communities, working in the communities, not sitting down in an office desk, twiddling the thumbs and waiting for you to come and all that kind of thing. Social workers have shown properly the ones who go in and understand, because social workers have a variety of training.
I have a question, Dean.
Yeah.
And the question is related to this TT Defense Force officer who apparently is the one, they haven't named him or charged him yet with the murders of the two women in Glencoe. What is the responsibility of the leadership of the TT Defense Force when one of your officers is served with a restraining order and police have recommended he not get bail, and you still have him have a license issued by the TT Defense Force? What is the responsibility of the TT Defense Force in that situation?
Yeah, I think
you have granted this person a firearm under the presumption that this person is operating with a stable head, is responsible, and has not run afoul of the law in any way. So if it comes to your attention, and to me it should, that this officer has domestic issues and has threatened his spouse in front of police officers and has been issued a restraining order, why should that officer still be able to carry a TT Defense Force weapon?
Right, yeah. And
another question that the TT Defense Force leadership has to answer.
Big time. And I think a lot of men still support.
And police, it should vote for police also.
Yeah, that's the other part of the toxic. Now, that other part where we support, where the last caller, the caller before Trinity, was talking about the fire and thing. There's a culture of men who feel and they support other men who going through the drama in very toxic ways, because they see it as a kind of no scene, as a go and handle your stories, you had to handle it now, but and that kind of thing and all those kind of things. But the story what I'm trying to do thing there is that whole Guanapo thing that went down, at least when you listen to fellas in the community, that thing was a whole beef thing, If you listen to fellas in a repo and then talking about what went down, is very much interconnected to families, the whole family situation, and friends.
We need to go into news. Thanks for your contribution.
Thanks, Dean.
Yeah.
All right.
Raghubar Singh, have you newspapers?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Okay, it's 6:48. Thursday, the 4th of January. We did mention also Hotre Charles is going to be laid to rest today. And in condolences again to his family and colleagues on his passing. So, and a lot of attention is now placed on former Prime Minister Pandey, but Hotre Charles was also a significant contributor to the development of Trinidad and Tobago, and even more so Tobago. So let's start with the Express for Thursday, 4th January. State funeral at Sapa. Former Prime Minister Basdev Pandey's funeral will be held next Tuesday morning at Sapa, and the Hindu rites. His body was flown back home last night at 6:30 p.m. Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Amy Brown and met Mr. Pandey's wife, Uma, and his daughter, Makila, at the airport. His body, the coffin was draped with a national flag and taken off to Das funeral home. And then later on, the family, including his brother, Subhash Pandey, his daughters and wife, were at the rotunda of the Red House and greeted by Her Excellency the President of the Senate, and Speaker of the House, where they signed condolence books, which will be open from today into Monday at the Red House and at various corporations and embassies and consulates around the world. Pundit, emphasis on soul, not the body. 2 shot dead, woman among 3 injured in Tunapuna last night. The Big Brother I Loved, an expose from Subhash Pandey and his brother Basdev. Suspect cooperating with cops, disheveled and out of it. That's the situation regarding the TT Defense Force officer who is alleged to have shot his wife and mother-in-law. Integrity Commission claims it's underfunded. Prime Minister Rowley has labeled the claim of underfunding by the Integrity Commission as an interesting perspective. Let's move now to the Guardian Online. Right, Guardian, thank you. National flag remains at half-mast until Pandey funeral. Shouldn't it be half-staff and not half-mast because the buildings are not boats? Mitchell,
Staff.
is it just me?
No, I tried to it's supposed to be staff.
Parliament's condolence book for Basdeo Pandey opens to public tomorrow. Kangaloo signs Pandey's condolence book. Double murder suspect held in Northern Division. Canopia man appears in court charged with murder. Second vendor killed in Chigwanis in 2 weeks. Pandey's body to arrival, but this is as at yesterday. So, Mitchell and regional leaders laud Pandey's leadership in the region. Let's move to the Newsday now. Fired by Pandey. Ex-prisoner shot dead in carnage. Fired by Pandey. Former MPs hail late ex-prime minister. He was a progressive leader. Parliament opens condolence book for Pandey. UWI's tribute to late ex-prime minister Pandey was a titan of leadership. Relatives say teen killed on Aria Peter Avenue was caught up with the wrong friends. Cinema One records $600,000 in losses. Ex-prisoner shot dead in carnage. Sister blames bad parenting for crime. Murder victim's mother. He was killed for not joining a gang. FUL holders challenge new renewal process for gun licenses. And UWI's tribute to late ex-prime minister, a titan of leadership. So those are trending stories in your Guardian, Express, and Newsday for today, Thursday, the 4th of January, 2024. Yeah, as far as I know, mast is on a ship and staff is on a boat. The mast is on a ship.
Well, thank you, Bobby.
So they keep using the half.
Let me just read what Google has put in here. The key distinction is that half-mast is nautical in origin, while half-staff pertains to land-based flags display.
Is it me? You have a whole ministry, communication and research department.
Yeah.
But they must be talking about the ships too.
Ship ahoy, Captain.
Come on. Anyway, does thou have a question suggestion for today, guys?
I don't know. It should be related to the crime situation because it just seemed like crime was just everywhere yesterday. It was.
And that's different to last week, how?
True. But last night it was just one day. But to me, yesterday seemed particularly last night. Yeah, particularly
different to the week before the year end, last year.
No, the day itself. I thought it was particularly violent.
I think we quibbling about the same thing really, which is the yes, there were 4 killings last night, or 5, and there were 7 the week before the 2023 ended. So I mean, apples and oranges, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a question based on crime?
Shoot, Rich, this is your spot. What? Go ahead. Get a poll here. We have 5 minutes.
Will 2024 be a better year in terms of management of crime? Do you have hope for a better 2024? If it has to be crime?
I think you could say that. Are you hopeful that 2024 will be a better year in terms of dealing with crime? Mm-hmm. All right. You heard our poll. Good morning, Mrs. Zara, Donna Leeling, Chris Toussaint, Yolanda, Beauty Culture, Kalal Cupid, Edwin Marshall. Good morning to you all. That is a message by YouTube and Facebook. All right, so let's get into
why this computer so slow this morning? That's the question.
Are you hopeful that 2024 will be a better year for TNT in terms of effective crime reduction. That's our poll this morning. 222 talk 222-8255. North Americans 866-525-1099. People on the web and the apps, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Send your votes via the comment section on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta Live, and of course you can also WhatsApp us at 318-1021. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy Grandy here. Gentlemen, good morning. No.
Thank you, Brandy. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Hi.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What's your vote?
No, 5 persons were shot last night in Puna, 2 dead.
All right, yes or
9
no?
murders already. Okay, thank you.
Oh, he said no. He said no. Oh, he did say no. Okay, I didn't hear it. All right. Wayne B says yes. Josie Richardson says yes. Alistair Hart says yes to the poll. Slick Money Grip says yes. Good morning, caller. Good morning. Hello. All right, not there. Are you hopeful that 2024 will be a better year for TNT in terms of effective crime reduction? Yes or no? Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago. Haven't heard from you in a while, Beefy Smith. All the best. He says no. Chris Toussaint says yes. Michael Robinson says yes. David Frost, I am hopeful. Lester Craigwell, no to the poll. Carol Guevara, yes. Julia S. Batiste, no. What says you, caller?
Yes, good morning again. I say yes.
All
Much
right.
doom and gloom people preaching.
All right, thank you. Ian Robley says yes. All right, are you hopeful 2024 will be a better year for TNT in terms of effective crime reduction? Yes or no? 222-8255, toll free 866-525-1099, WhatsApp 318-1021, Facebook and YouTube. Guy Small doing a show in. No. Thank you, Guy Small. Right. Again, if you're on the highway in the vicinity of El Socorro, there is a backlog of traffic there. An individual got knocked down on the eastbound lanes right under the El Socorro walkover. Let's see. Lorna. Morning, Lorna. Indy Carly? Nope. Thank you. Beauty Culture says no. Marcia Rock says yes. Ray Rodriguez says no. Dennis Prasad says no.
So our question this morning, are you hopeful that 2024 will be a better year for TNT in terms of effective crime reduction? Yes or no? Coming up after 7, we'll have Professor Roger Hussein talking about the economic outlook and imperatives for 2024 in Trinidad and Tobago.
Donna Leeling says no. Dabity, thanks, Val, says yes. Mr. Wickham, no. Junior says no. Right. All right, let's take these 2 calls and then I go to news. Good morning.
Morning, DJ Ray. No.
DJ Ray. Thank you, DJ Ray. Good morning out in Tampa. Good morning.
Hey, Steve, me here, morning. Morning to all. Morning, lovely. My answer is yes, I am walking in faith, and like Gina says, too many doom and gloom people. So yes.
All right. Long Islander says no. Cascade St. Anne's also says no. All right. All right. Let's get into our major news, shall we? On this, the 4th day of January. News starts right now.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Thursday, 4th January 2024. This is major news to 7 a.m. First, the headlines. The funeral of former Prime Minister Basdeo Panday will be held next Tuesday at the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts. Persons can sign condolence books of the late Prime Minister Thursday, Friday, and Monday. Schools in Tobago closed today to allow reps to attend the funeral service of Troy Charles, and 2 men are shot dead and 3 others injured during an attack in front of the Tunapuna Market along the Eastern Main Road last night. We have details coming up next. This is major news to 7 a.m. on News Power Digital. Good morning. The funeral of the former Prime Minister, the late Basdeo Panday, will be held next Tuesday morning at the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts SAPA in San Fernando. Former Prime Minister Panday's body arrived at the Piaco International Airport from Florida on a Caribbean Airlines flight just after 6:30 p.m. yesterday. Upon arrival, the coffin was draped with the Trinidad and Tobago national flag by members of the TT Defense Force. Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Dr. Emery Brown was present, members of the Panday family, including Mr. Panday's wife Oma and daughter Makila, who were on the flight which brought Mr. Panday's body back home. His body was placed in a white hearse and escorted by police entourage to Das Funeral Home in San Fernando. Mr. Panday, 90, died on Monday at a hospital in Florida, where he had been receiving medical treatment since mid-December 2023. Former Prime Minister had suffered with heart ailments. And persons can sign condolence books for the late Prime Minister today, Thursday, Friday, and Monday. Members of the public are invited to sign books in memory of the late former Prime Minister at various locations across the country, including the Rotunda at the Red House from 1 to 6 p.m. today, Thursday, and Friday and Monday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Signings can also be done at the Arima Boer Corporation, Chaguanas, Cuba Tabaki Talparo, Diego Martin, Maya Regional, Rio Clara Regional Corporation, Pinal Debe Corporation, Point Fortinburg Corporation, Port of Spain City Corporation, Princestown Regional Corporation, San Juan Laventil, San Luis Grande, and Tunapuna Piaco Regional Corporation. Also, Trinidad and Tobago's overseas embassies in Brussels, Belgium, Brazil, China, Costa Rica, Havana, Cuba, Panama City, Washington, D.C., and Caracas, Venezuela, High Commissions in Ottawa, Canada, New Delhi, India, Kingston, Jamaica, Abuja, Nigeria, Pretoria, South Africa, London, UK, Geneva, Switzerland, and Georgetown, Guyana. And also TNT's consulates in Toronto, Canada, and Miami, and New York will also be used to host the signing of condolence books for the late Prime Minister. Schools in Tobago will be closed today, and representatives from the schools are expected to attend the funeral service on the Sister Isle for the first Chief Secretary, Troy Charles, at the Shore Park complex from 11 a.m. The public viewing will be held from 9 a.m. The Tobago House of Assembly will also suspend work today, Thursday, to facilitate the attendance of its employees at the funeral service. On Wednesday, members of the public were allowed to sign the condolence book at the Assembly's Legislature building on Juningham Street. 2 men were shot dead and 3 other people injured during an attack in front of the Tunapuna Market along the Eastern Main Road last night. The incident took place around 8 p.m. The 5, one of whom was a woman, were at the market when gunmen opened fire on them. The shooters then fled the scene, running toward the Mount Grand community. Officers from the Tunapuna Police Station and Homicide Bureau responded. When they arrived, 2 of the victims had already died. Up to 9 p.m., they had not yet been identified. The injured were taken to the Eric Williams Medical Sciences for treatment. The TTPS is continuing investigations. The judiciary recognizes a criminal backlog reduction project can only succeed with the active participation of its key stakeholders. It's invited a number of stakeholders to participate in a backlog subcommittee on the Criminal Justice Committee. Stakeholders invited to participate on the subcommittee include the Director of Public Prosecution, the Public Defender's Department of the Legal Aid Advisory Authority, the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago. It is the first stage of the plan, which has been designed to, with specific resources, tasked with the responsibility to address the backlog in the appointment of judicial officers by Her Excellency Christine Kangaloo on January 2nd, 2024, as SUNY judges temporarily to actively manage backlog reduction. The new justices are Trevor Jones, Justice Indrani Sedeno, and Justice Maria Busby Earl Cattle. In news of the region, the Anguilla Tourist Board says it will be targeting the lucrative Gulf tourism market to attract more visitors to the island. The ATB highlighted the Gulf tourism market has a great potential of over 25 million people in the U.S., which is a major source of tourists participating in some form of golfing activity. And further afield, media reports suggest business owners are warning attacks on commercial vessels in the Red Sea could result in higher transportation and shipping insurance costs. The attacks have prompted long diversions to avoid one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. The Houthi group, which has declared support for Hamas, has said it was targeting ships traveling to Israel, but it is not yet clear if all the ships that were being attacked were actually heading to Israel. British Retail Consortium warns the disruptions could have a knock-on effect on production and availability and price of shipping globally. And that is news to 7 a.m. We'll have the headlines once again to end our newscast. The funeral of the late Prime Minister Basilio Pandey will be held next Tuesday morning at the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts Sapa in San Fernando. Persons can sign condolence books for the late Prime Minister Basilio Pandey today, Thursday, Friday, and Monday at several locations locally and internationally. Schools in Tobago will be closed today to allow representatives and employees to attend the funeral service for Hu Troy Charles, the first THA Chief Secretary. And 2 men were shot dead and 3 other people injured in an attack in front of the Tunapuna Market along the Eastern Main Road last evening. That is news to 7 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 12 noon with headlines coming up at 8 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right, thank you so much, Paul. That's right, we'll have news update coming up at 8. Quickly taking a look at weather. 24 at Piarco, 26 at Crown Point and Met Office. It says it's just going to be sunny, hazy, and breezy, with interrupted by partly cloudy periods with showers in a few areas. All right, maximum forecast temperature forecast is 32 for both islands. Traffic-wise, on our highways and byways, going through Santa Rosa, La Joqueta, slow going, Piarco. Piarco, straight to Barataria, it's traffic. There is an incident on the eastbound lane of Churchill Roosevelt Highway under the Elscoro walkover. Someone was struck by a vehicle, so that is causing some traffic. Eastern Main Road, not too bad at this time, going through Tacarigua and Macoya. Macoya Road is heavy, going through St. Augustine, Currap, Mount Hope, Maraval, you've got traffic. Diego Martin, you've got traffic. And let's see, on the Solo, nothing really to tell you about. San Fernando is lighter than usual, just leaving San Fernando passing Gasperl to Claxton Bay, volume, Chaseville is usual thing, and then by Charlieville towards interchange, you've got some traffic. All right, that quick one for you. All right, let's get the results of our morning poll before we head to our guest. Let me see if I have any more votes. Ms. Maloney says yes. Cheryl Johnson says yes. CJ in New York says no. Good morning, Leo Henry. Romantic Passionate Lover says no. Oh, Leo Henry says no. On WhatsApp, I got Trevor and Arima saying yes. And I have got... Okay, that is not a vote. That is not a vote, Trey. All right, our results.
Right. So our poll this morning was, are you hopeful that 2024 will be a better year for TNT in terms of effective crime reduction? We had 33 people voting on the poll this morning. Of the 33 people, 16 of you said yes, you do agree. You do have hope and you are hopeful, and 17 of you said no, you are not hopeful. So it was pretty much an even split in terms of opinions of our listeners about being hopeful for the coming year with regard to with regard to crime. But 16 of you said yes, you are hopeful. 17 of you said no, you are not hopeful. So that's it for our poll this morning. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day through our programming, and we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's introduce our guest already online, typing away feverishly, Professor Roger Hossain. Good morning to you. All the best, I should start off with for 2024.
Morning. Thank you very much. And all the best to you and your team for the excellent job that you all have been doing for Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you so much. Not hearing you, Paul.
Morning, Prof. Happy New Year to you and your family.
Yeah, morning, Prof. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Well, let's start with our question this morning to you. We asked our listeners this morning if they are hopeful, optimistic that there'll be better and more effective crime management in 2024. What say you?
Well, I would start off by saying I hope so, because the probability of us having a situation worse, I think we ended up at 576 murders last year, and the year before, I see DJ Sheriff posted numbers. I think he posted 613. Let's say it's 607.
It's 605.
605. Let's say it's 605. Then those are terrible numbers. And if we categorize murders into four groups, say 0 to 149, 150 to 299, 300 to 450, and 450 above as being terrible, then we have had two back-to-back years or in the terrible zone using the classification I just made. We have quite a bit of work to bring that down to a lower zone, and therefore the numbers we have seen so far for January is alarming. I mean, only last night I heard you say 5 people were shot or 7 people were shot in Tunapuna. I think 2 died. So we have a lot of work to do. I am hopeful, but the numbers tell the best story, and the numbers do not point in the direction. To me, I looked at the trend of the murders from 1966 to 2023, and the trend is still going upward. So that has me obviously concerned. And
but just to share the information.
What makes you hopeful, though? What makes you hopeful?
Well, I have to live in hope. I have to live in hope in the sense that the most comforting statement I heard was that from the Commissioner of Police, who said she is not satisfied with 5%. You know, you would have heard most people say, well, 576 is less than 605. So that's a big step. I am heartened to hear that she is not satisfied with that, because we, the people, certainly me, I feel unsafe. I feel uncomfortable with the crime situation. And in the context of her comment, it means that if she is not satisfied, she would be putting in place as best as she can more measures to do even more than the last quarter of 2023. And that makes me have an element of hope that we will see some improvement. Of course, much more needs to be done. But that statement in particular gives me some hope.
Well, you know, let me just share some data that you shared with me, right? And you use different reference points, which is what scientists do. And you looked at the grouping of 3-year periods, if I'm not mistaken, right? So you did 66 to 69, 70 to 79, 80 to 89, 90 to 99. Well, not 3-year group, but those are more than 3 years. 2000 to 09, decades, right? After 2010 to 2019, and 2020 to 2023, and you looked at the averages in those time periods, which is a different way. And you look at the graph, and the data doesn't lie. In the before 1999, there were between 66 and 69, 60, 70 to 79, 82, 80 to 89, and 106, 90 to 99. Now, the jump, of course, started right after the coup. Many people put that as an access point for criminal activity in the country. I certainly do. And then from 2000, it went to 314 between 2010 and 2019, which spanned two different administrations, the average was 445. And between 2020 to 23, the average was 505. So the trend is there's a steep inflection upward between 2000 and 2023, which, I mean, sometimes people like to politicize crime and talk about administrations that are better than others in terms of crime fighting, but the data doesn't support that. You might have a drop in a particular year, but the trend and the average is going up exponentially from 2000 to now. So it means that something has happened in the society, and the response to what has happened has not been adequate. How would you respond to that suggestion by myself?
Well, I mean, you are looking at the graph, and the graph tells a story of a story on its own. The clear statement is that post 1999, there has been a sharp increase in the number of murders. Certainly, the highest number of murders so far, on average per annum, is the period 2020 to 2023. What I would say, and my opinion, I did look at this preliminarily. My opinion is that the way we manage the energy rents has something to do with this, in the sense that when we increase transfers and subsidies and the labor force participation rate in Trinidad and Tobago subsequently fell, what you notice is that if you do a correlation between the labor force participation rate and murders, you would see a very high negative correlation, meaning that somehow as the labor market participation rate fell, less people offered themselves for employment for whatever reason, you saw an increase in the number of murders. Now, obviously, that is something we have to probe more using multivariate regression analysis. But the immediate knee-jerk economic suggestion is that when people came out of the labor market, they probably formed gangs and other forms of groups and got themselves into conflict one amongst the other, and you are seeing it manifested now in the murder level. So to me, one way to address this problem is to sterilize the rents. We have to.
But you're proposing a theory about a possible factor. A factor that you have theorized is inversely proportional labor force participation to crime levels, in particular murder, and you have not proffered other factors in that equation. As a scientist, that's very sketchy to me.
No, that's why I said we have to do some multivariate regression analysis in order to pinpoint.
But you've only proffered one factor in a very complex situation.
Again, so you are correct in that in order to assess this thing needs a thorough investigation. Now, there will be other factors. If you use the labor force participation rate, there are other factors such as the inflow of Venezuelan immigrants that would affect the murder situation in Trinidad and Tobago. And if you look at that,
only in the last 5 years.
No, that is not correct. You would have had Venezuelans coming here, not in the same volume as in the last 5 years, but you would have had them coming here and hiding and whatnot. So an important variable to look at, Paul, is the growth performance of the Venezuelan economy, because what you tend to see, what I have noticed is as the growth performance of the Venezuelan economy worsens, and I'm not talking about causality, I'm merely saying, commenting on the trends in the data, you notice our murder level increase. No, that doesn't mean that Venezuelans coming here and committing the crime and whatnot and whatnot. I'm just saying that the data suggests that as the growth performance of the Venezuelan economy decreases, our murder level in Trinidad and Tobago increases. People could draw whatever conclusion they want from that. That's what the data is saying.
I think there are many factors at play here. I'm not discounting your theory about the workforce participation. We have issues with family life breakdown. We have issues with the education system. We have issues with illegal guns coming into the country with more profundity. We have issues with we don't have recent data on poverty levels and income disparity. I think all those are factors that need to be considered.
Yeah, you may not be able to use poverty levels as you would like, because I would tell you that if you look at the unemployment rate as a proxy for poverty situation in the country, it would tell you that all is well. So that's why I choose to use the labor force participation rate. Or another variable we could use, Paul, is the economically inactive population. You would notice as the size of the economically inactive population in Trinidad and Tobago increase, the murder level increases. And I have repeatedly asked for us to do a deep dive investigation of that, the TTPS or the Ministry of National Security, as the case may be, because something may be going on there that as the size of the economically inactive population in Trinidad and Tobago increases for whatever reason, there is a rise in the murder level. Yes, we know there are multiple variables involved, and that requires close, deep analysis, not a 5 minutes conversation on as we are having here, but a deep, prolonged, acute investigation to tease out the factors, put it into a document, and then give it to the policymakers so they can respond and make the appropriate changes.
How would you suggest we deal with the issue of the data regarding murder rate, which is clear data, and the increases over the years you've identified, and the impact on business activity and the economy?
Right. Well, that requires both a private sector and a public sector response. The private sector response we all know about. I'm sure that each one of us here would have done it in our own homes. People, they start to keep more dogs and big dogs. I mean, I have 5 Rottweilers. People put up burglar proof. People are much more vigilant. Even so, you still see people going to certain parts of Trinidad and Tobago with $45,000 to buy a car, or with $6,000 to buy a phone, and get themselves in all type of problems. So the private sector response is that people need to take greater accountability to themselves, greater care of themselves, and be more alert and organized, and make themselves less targets for opportunistic criminals. At the public level, of course, there have been repeated comments by multiple commentators across an extended period of time. We know and people would say we need more police patrols on the street, bring out the army, call a limited state of emergency, and try to go after the guns, where if the police has intelligence about these things, go after the guns in various locations. And those things would give the population at large a greater sense of peace, the business community a greater sense of peace, if you see more being done. Your poll, when I came on, you had a poll running, something to the effect of whether crime whether we would see better management of crime in 2024 if the crime situation had improved. And I am saying that's a good question. People want to know what are the steps that the government is putting in place based upon the many suggestions by various stakeholders in the public domain in order to make them feel safer. And the concerning thing about that to me is this, is the business community represents an important trigger factor for investment and by extension economic growth. And if the business community are diverting economic resources away from productive economic activity towards security and towards securing themselves, then that's a major challenge on our hands, because it reduces the magnitude of growth, the quality of growth, and hence the labor employment potential of the economy. So that national security and seeing about the business community in that regards also becomes part of the responsibility of the Ministry of Finance, in my opinion.
What do you think is going to be the impact of the now effective increase in minimum wage over the next couple of months on cost of goods and services, if any at all?
Well, first to begin, there's not a very large number of people working for the minimum wage. You know, I look at this data time and time again, and the number of people that work for the minimum wage is not enormous. It's not going to make a tremendous dent on the overall wage bill. What it would do is if it would lead to a marginal increase in the inflation rate as these people get more money and they do more purchasing. But there is a lot of spare capacity in the Trinidad and Tobago economy. And once you have spare capacity, an increase in demand does not have to lead to a dramatic increase in inflation. Yes, it may lead to a marginal increase in inflation, but there's a lot of spare capacity. So consider, for example, the agricultural sector, where you have about 20,000 people working as compared to 38,000 people working in the year 2000. So employment in the agricultural sector fell about 18,000. So that signifies that there's spare capacity in that sector. We are doing a lot of imports. And if it is the supply side of the economy responds adequately to the increase in demand, I don't see any enormous change in the inflation rate. Yes, marginal, but not dramatic.
And likewise with the introduction of property tax. And some are suggesting, well, there's some property owners who rent out properties who are going to have to pay that property tax, and it's going to have an impact on rental values and a knock-on effect on other costs of goods and services. What is your opinion on that?
Well, I think that is a fact. I think that some business people would absorb the cost. Some business people would pass on the cost. No, if you're a property owner, and you pass on the cost to the business person, and the business person cost of production therefore increases and their profit therefore falls, then that would adversely affect their reinvestment capacity. And that's something we cannot encourage in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't want the reinvestment capacity of the business class to fall significantly, because it is the reinvestment capacity of the business class that leads to more exports, leads to employment of labor, and so on. Now, I don't see, because when I look at the numbers, the property tax is not going to lead to a tremendous increase in anything. Yes, I think it works out to 2.3%. I don't want to quote the wrong numbers of the annual
2.7.
2.7% of the annual rental value of the property. And when you divide that by 12 months, on an average, that's not a very large number in which the property owner would have to deal with. And if he or she passes that on, I suspect they would pass on a proportion, and therefore the business owner that is renting, it's not a dramatically bad situation. The country needs the revenue for various interventions, and I don't see that changing the price of oil in any significant way.
And in terms of when the issue related to commercial and industrial comes on stream, what sort of impact do you think that's going to have on the overall domestic economy?
Again, no, the commercial sector may be more punitive in my view than the residential sector. In other words, if you impose property tax on Chin City Mall and Gull City Mall and these type of commercial places, what is going to happen is these people will pass on the cost. As they pass on the cost, to maintain their profitability, consumers would have to modify their shopping patterns where necessary. And if you have enough income, you continue to buy. But again, we are not talking about very large numbers. We are not talking about a 27% increase or a 30% increase. We are talking about reasonably small numbers that, yes, it could affect the amount of consumption, but I don't see it leading to a sharp leftward shift of the demand curve and hence a sharp fall in the quantity demanded.
Let's move to the other sectors in the economy. Unless Richard had a question.
But I just wanted to know, moving on to the other sectors, I just wanted to know if there were any sectors that you were cautiously or more than cautiously optimistic about in 2024 in terms of the economy.
Well, I think the manufacturing sector is doing well. I think the TTMA should be highly credited for the sharp growth in the manufacturing sector between 2017 and 2023. We hope that continues into 2024. I am not seeing the increase in production translating as much into an increase in exports as I would like, but I suppose steps would be on the way to transcribe into the other. But the manufacturing sector, when I say manufacturing here, team, I have excluded petrochemicals. So let's make that clear. I'm talking about narrow manufacturing, like bottled juice and things in cans and packs and so on. And it has been going well. In fact, it made a major contribution to the economic good performance in 2023. And employment in the manufacturing sector in 2023 was about 40,000. If we could be bold and brash and brave and put in place the measures to increase manufacturing sector employment within a 5-year period to 100,000 people in Trinidad and Tobago, by virtue of stimulating much more e-tech parks and making use of the specialized economic zones whenever it comes on stream, then that intervention, given the high output per worker in the manufacturing sector as compared to other parts of the economy, that intervention could give the Trinidad and Tobago economy a fighting chance, regardless of what goes on with Manatee and Dragon Gas and whatnot. That would be a stable block of interventions. Of course, when electricity rates increase and whatnot, we will have to see how the manufacturing sector would cope. But the steps so far are very positive, well-placed steps that has served the economy well from 2017 to 2023. So I continue to be optimistic that growth can continue. I also am hopeful that the services sector would piggyback on the growth in the manufacturing sector. I know Vashti Gayadeen and the people at the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition of Services Industries, they have been doing a lot of background work to try to increase the services sector exports, and I hope we start to see some return on that within the next 5-year period. And I'm specifically calling time periods. I think, Paul and team, that we need to say we want a 100-day plan. The Trinidad and Tobago economy is in a position where, in my view, and the start of a year is such a good time period to do that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago should set targets for a 100-day plan. Yes, we need more diversification, and in 100 days, this is the strategy with extended results to be achieved by when? This is the murder level. In 100 days, this is what we want to achieve. We have Y amount of guns on the streets in our estimation. In 100 days, this is what we want to achieve, and so on and so forth. And give the economy a kind of re-railing, a kind of recalibration, and a chance for the people to see a level of seriousness that would make us more comforted. Now, this is my take on things. I hope other people see it that way. But we shouldn't have to wait for 2025 where manifestos come out and people are now saying, well, in the first 100 days...
Let me ask a question based on following Richard's question regarding the services sector and export of our expertise in various areas. How lucrative do you think Trinidad and Tobago can be, for example, in defining a couple training areas where we have surplus expertise and targeting areas? For example, people always coming to poach our nurses, right? We train nurses at a pretty high level, and the nurses get very lucrative jobs outside. There are countries that understand that they can't absorb all the people that they train in various sectors in the country, and they make arrangements with other countries to provide that services, and the country gets remittances in large measure, and the people that we train are voided of that paying back for that training while they work for Trinidad and Tobago outside, and remittances come back out, and after a certain amount of time, they no longer beholden to the country. They can continue in that arrangement, or they can go on their own. Do you think that's an area in terms of export of services, and that kind of model can work in this country?
So yes, let me answer that. Let me respond to that in 3 ways. One, the general, and 2 aspects of the specific. In general, the services sector does have potential, as I say, it does. And the best way to approach that, I think, is to start with what is our biggest service activity that we can sell to the world. That's Carnival. I think if we monetize that sufficiently, and over the years, Paul, you would have heard probably thousands of suggestions as to how to improve on Carnival. We just need to take from that 1,015 and activate them. The best 15, filter it out, have someone like Keith Nurse, who has done a lot of work on Carnival and culture, filter out the best 15 and let's action it. So that's one. Two, in terms of nurses, I actually did some work for the Pan American Health Organization and the World Health Organization on how to train nurses for exports. And it's possible. We have to bear in mind that we have a nano state, a very, very small labor market. Our labor market is about 640,000 people. It's tiny. And yes, within that tiny labor market, because we don't have opportunities for everyone here in this time period of the Trinidad and Tobago economic life cycle, we could train some nurses and send them abroad under proper arrangements, rather than just letting them be poached, and therefore the country loses everything from their learning, from their use of traffic lights and use of public water and hospital. We lose everything. If we send them under proper arrangements, we can benefit. And so yes, I definitely agree with nursing, teachers, and doctors as possibilities. Bear in mind, though, no, I did this study in 2008. Bear in mind that we had a 30% vacancy in the nursing fraternity at that point in time. And I suspect if you talk to the medical professionals, they will tell you that some of that vacancy at the nursing level continues to exist. So when you are designing this export revenue strategy, you have to, as part of that, ensure that you fill some of the domestic posts, so you don't export your nurses and end up with a perverse nurse to doctor ratio that skews the outcome of the health sector even more. And the final comment that was linked to that is remittances. Our remittance per capita and our remittance per member of the diaspora abroad is one of the lowest in the region. And yes, given the state of the Trinidad and Tobago economy, I think we need to I know there is a diaspora unit, or I think there's a diaspora unit in the Ministry of Planning. We need to activate it, and we need to get it aggressively involved, as in Jamaica and as in Guyana and as in other parts of the Caribbean, to encourage our diaspora abroad to send back money here, be it via diaspora on bond or other forms of intervention, because we have a foreign exchange situation. So if we could somehow intertie all those things, yes, we could see some progress on services exports. Yes, we could see some progress on remittances. But what I think we need is that bold 100-day plan that comes at a point in time like now to rebuild confidence in the people by tick boxing things after 100 days and saying, yes, our politicians they have come back on board, they have come back in order, and yes, we don't have to wait every 5 years to get Mama. We see some action now. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. You see confidence as a, I mean, coming from what you're saying with the 100-day plan, you obviously see confidence in the country or confidence in the economy as an issue that needs to be tackled.
Well, remind me of your name, sir?
Richard.
Right, I normally get confused between you and Paul. Yeah, Richard.
Why you get confused and hear me?
Well, both of you are carry Richard. So anyway, you speak about confidence, but if you look at the numbers, if you look at the IMF numbers, and I would have sent this to Paul, if you look at the IMF October 2021 forecast data for Trinidad and Tobago, the IMF 2022 forecast, the IMF 2023 forecast, I'm looking at the October version, you would see for every single year, Richard, that we lowered the forecast outlook for Trinidad and Tobago. And therefore, if you look at the October 2021 IMF report, we were just about 13%, expected to be just about 13% smaller at the end of 2022 as compared to 2015. When you look at the October 2023 forecast, at the end of 2022, we were 20.1, I believe, percent smaller than in 2015. That's a sharp change. So something the IMF is seeing that has lowered the growth performance of the Trinidad and Tobago economy by almost a 7 percentage point when we use the end of 2022 as compared to 2015. And that has me tremendously concerned. But what I would say is that economic growth has returned. Growth has returned in 2022. Growth is forecasted from now until 2028, very moderate growth. And building on that momentum, I think the government has a golden opportunity given that we basically then are at the bottom of the barrel and moving upwards, to put out a 100-day plan and build on that growth momentum, re-establish confidence in various sectors of the economy, and convert those moderate or low IMF growth numbers like 1.2 and 1.5 to probably 2.1 and 2.4. And I think that's the way that I think it's a good opportunity, it's a classic moment, and we should therefore capitalize on it.
But you deal with a lot of, I assume you intersect with a lot of the young professionals in the country, or to be young professionals in the country. Do you get a sense from them that they feel invested in the future of the country or not?
Okay, so I speak here in my personal capacity, not representing any institutions that I consult for or that I work with or anything like that. The young people that I speak with in various places, be it in the public, be it on the streets, be it anywhere, they are worried. They are very worried. I have 3 young children and they are very worried. Their friends, when they come home and I hear them talk, they are very worried. And a lot of them are saying scary things like they want to leave here. And there are 2 major factors that they speak about all the time. One are job opportunities or the lack thereof. And the other thing is the murder level. And again, I don't think that I speak to a biased group. It is possible. It is possible. Sometimes I speak to large volumes of people in the age 2023, up as much as 600 at one time, and take their opinion. But my opinion is that something is going on here, and given that economic growth has returned, that we take the momentum and we put in place something akin to a 100-day plan that would give us a better fighting chance to keep these young people in the country. Because one thing I would say to Paul Richards is that the work of Mishra 2006 in the IMF on Caribbean economic development and remittances shows very clearly that when these young people, not the nurses, migrate, that they may remit maybe for 1 or 2 years and then remittances fall sharply.
But I will tell you, following Richard's question, Professor Hussein, that the point you underscore is a serious point that I don't think is being addressed adequately. I just use an example. I have a friend who, her daughter is my goddaughter, and she just finished 4 years at a North American university on this scholarship. And her parent, her mother, decided that, of course, part of the agreement is to come back to Trinidad and Tobago and work for 4 or 5 years to work off your scholarship investment of the country in you. She graduated at the top of her class, and her mother decided that rather than bring her child back to Trinidad and Tobago to work off that 1, it's not safe, and 2, she is trained at a very high level in the accounting field. She was going to be put into an office to do clerical work for 4 years and waste 4 years of her life in an unsafe environment. That is just one example of a loss intellectual investment.
Basically, what you are saying is she will not come back.
And her mother decided to pay back just under $1 million to the government of Trinidad and Tobago rather than bring her child back here. That, to me, is a profound indictment on the feeling of that parent and that child and that investment in the country.
I have heard that story 1,000 times. And therefore, I am saying that we are losing our best and brightest based upon that type of simple data. I am saying that given that the IMF has put down positive growth numbers for 2022 and from 2023 to 2028, although very low, we have positive growth numbers. I'm saying the momentum is with us now. Let us put on these boxing gloves and put out that 100-day plan and change the medium-term outlook. So those very people that you speak about there, the probability that they will come back, we can increase that probability. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that if we do this with passion, with love, and with fire, and with a sense of determination, and we take the politics out of it,
Professor Hussein, the government is going to tell you that they're already doing that.
Have you read the 100-day plan, Paul?
No, but the government is going to say they have a short, medium, and long-term plan. They have outlined it in their budgets. They have now 8 budgets under their belts. and the Minister of Finance is on record, and other ministers of saying the IMF has predicted, the international agencies have predicted growth. Our ratings are improving, and so those are positive signs that what they're doing is working at some level effectively. That's the response you're going to get generally.
And my response to that and to you would be this. When you have a long day at work or a long day in life, say tomorrow is a long day with a lot of things to do, what you do is you take a little sheet of paper, you write down 25 things you have to do, and as you go along the day, you check them off. Well, I assume that, right? I am saying to you that creates a greater sense of structure and order for a short time period. My perspective is, whilst we have in place the budget and the medium-term plan, if we could filter out from that a 100-day plan that reinforces and concretizes and brings up some of the deadline, it would improve confidence and people's perspective on the economy. That's my view. Not everybody may agree, but that's my view on it. And I practice it in many of the things that I do, so I share my opinion freely.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of merit in what you're saying, Professor, with regard to that, because I think confidence is really a serious issue in the country. I think a lot of people are depressed, in a sense, or psychologically affected by the crime situation. And I think the crime situation has the potential to derail whatever growth is going to happen in the country, or whatever growth is projected, because of the state of crime and how all-encompassing it seems to Trinidadians and Tobagonians. And so I think a 100-day plan tackling various issues can instill some level of order in people's minds that something is being done.
It could derail the economy and capitalize on the growth momentum. And so I think that we shouldn't miss this opportunity. Now, this requires drive. This requires fire and drive. And I think that it's something that should be considered. And I firmly believe so.
How much do you think crime is affecting foreign direct investment in this country at this time?
I wouldn't be able to give a quantitative reaction to that. I would say it is definitely affecting the quality and the distribution of domestic investment. Our substantive foreign investment goes into the energy sector. We haven't been able to attract as much of that as we would like. But Shell or BP or any giant company investing here, they aren't so bothered about the murder level and crime as me and you would be if we are going to open a coconut stall to sell coconut for carnival. We would be more worried about that. So I'm saying that given the crime, if we want to measure how it affects the economy, let's see how we can influence it in a way that it doesn't stifle domestic investment, because domestic investment is more related to our domestic crime situation than foreign direct investment. I'm not saying that a foreigner wouldn't read the various broadcasts on our crime situation. I'm saying they generally come here for cost-based investments. Those cost-based investments are whether or not they could get milk cheap or oil cheap or a massive amount of land to set up a strawberry farm cheap. The domestic investors, we stay here, we live here, we hunt here, we play here. We are the ones that are more concerned about crime, and so give us that assurance by more sharper action within a 100-day period. Breed fear into the hearts of the criminals.
Going back to another potential sector, do you think we are or have capitalized enough on our educational infrastructure, particularly in the tertiary realm, given the kinds of training we do? I mean, I know some universities are doing it. I work with USC, and we are training students in Guyana at the undergraduate and postgraduate level. I have students in undergrad and master's levels. And I think with the number of institutions in Trinidad, Tobago, UE, which you're affiliated to, USC, UTT, COSTAT, and even the private ones like SBDS, I always get the acronym wrong, CTS, etc., that we have a lot to offer in terms of training, not only Caribbean, but international students, either online or physically here, if they are willing to brave the crime situation. But certainly we can do it online and offer a different service and bring money into the country.
Again, I can only speak in my personal capacity. I think we have the technical capability to do that. From what I do know is that NASC is already doing some training in Guyana. UTT is already doing some training in Guyana. I know that we have memorandum of understanding with various places, but certainly more could be done. There's always a case for more to be done, certainly in terms of foreign exchange earning. What I did have said in the past is that one of the things we could consider in Trinidad and Tobago is an offshore medical university in Tobago that is parallel to that in St. George's, that could bring in foreign exchange into Tobago, help with demand for various type of other services and goods.
But we're already behind the curve because Barbados and Jamaica are already far ahead with medical institutions, and foreign institutions have set up shop in Barbados, in Jamaica, and of course there's Grenada's Georgetown University Medical that's very well subscribed.
Yes, we are behind the curve. There are also 5 such universities in St. Kitts. But what I would say to you is that Tobago, within the last 3 years, was ranked by National Geographic as the #1 ecotourism destination in the world. And therefore, we have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 little things working for us. Capitalize on it. Tobago is still considered an amazing, beautiful destination. And we should capitalize on that. And that is an opportunity, given that the population in the global economy is aging and certain type of lifestyle diseases across the globe is on the rise. There are some opportunities there. The Caribbean is generally considered a safe place, and there is something called the flying geese paradigm from which we could benefit from. Given that we are starting late on the learning curve, we could, however, start at a high level of interjection at that point and attract what we can to generate scarce foreign exchange.
Professor Hussein, are you willing to take some calls?
Yes, I could take 2. I have to leave at about 4 minutes to 8, so that
we have about we have time for 2 or 3 calls. Phone lines are open. Professor Hussein is our guest. You can feed up to 3 questions as we move up to 8 o'clock. It's Thursday. Year is already started, and a lot is happening in the country already.
Yep. So 222 talk 222-8255. That's our number, and of course, people in North America, you can also weigh in at 866-525-1099, which is absolutely toll-free.
How do you think we're doing? Because I see a lot of cruise ships have started coming back to Trinidad and Tobago.
I was interested in that too. The tourism. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about even people who are on the cruise ships about Trinidad and Tobago, and I've been following some of the YouTube videos of influencers on cruise ships and their tour guides and stuff, and it's pretty positive, really, really positive feedback, and the tour guides and stuff have been very I was very impressed with a lot of the interaction that you saw with vendors and stuff like that. What's your take on the tourism product and how it's moving?
So I missed probably about 5 to 7 words in what you said, but I think you said what I think about the cruise ships coming here and our tourism products.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Richard? Right.
Yeah.
So, Richard, the return of the cruise ship to Trinidad and Tobago, and I know in March we are going to get our first cruise ship in San Fernando. That's an amazing opportunity. Anything, now, people, the generalized norm is cruise ship don't bring an extensive amount of foreign exchange into your country. But when they come, whatever foreign exchange we could get them to spend on the ports in the nearby area, on the tour guides and whatnot, is a fantastic opportunity for us to increase for the small vendors a certain amount of foreign exchange. We should embrace that totally, in a total way. What we don't want, and this is where again the 100-day type of plan comes in, as part of a bigger plan, of course. We don't want the tourists to come here and get robbed. We don't want them to come here and get raped or murdered or anything like that. We want an environment that can encourage the tourists to continue to come. So yes, I am happy to hear you say that the feedback was good. We need to build on that. We need to work on getting, if we are getting, let's say, 20 cruise ships for the year, we need to bring that up to 100. And we need to improve the infrastructure and the support services that cater to these cruise ship people when they come on board, so that is another arm of foreign exchange we could benefit from, so that the small vendors that now in turn need these US dollars to import goods and services to sell to these same cruise ship vendors, they have some of their own foreign exchange, and life becomes smoother and more manageable. That's my take on it.
All right. We do have a call here. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Hussein. Morning.
Hi, good morning, sir.
Here, Mr. Paul Richards, and he was saying something, right? USC, Costa, University of the West Indies, bring out nurses every year. But we have a serious short of nurses in Trinidad and Tobago. So what the government could do to keep nurses here so the health system could run properly? Because the health system not running properly. I have nurses friends who are real burnout and drained because they need nurses.
Me and Mrs. Wife.
What are we doing with that?
So I'm not sure if I'm expected to respond to that, but let me give as best as I could an answer. So I know the numbers, but my numbers are a little outdated. But I agree that the system continues to be one in which we have a shortage of some medical professionals. So my view is that when you train, if you need X in Trinidad and Tobago, you train X plus Y. The Y is who you are training to cater for the foreign market. Not everybody who are trained as nurses would want to migrate. Some would have domestic reasons, cultural reasons, a range of reasons why they would stay in their home country. And you train enough so that you export some services and you keep some services. But your point is a valid one. We need to be mindful of the domestic situation, sir.
All right.
Dr. Hussein, thank you for being with us this morning. We appreciate your time and contribution, and we wish you all the best for a bright, prosperous, safe New Year.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul and team. It was a pleasure, and we will chat in the future. Take care.
We will indeed. All the best to you. All right. Of course, that was Professor Roger Hussein speaking with us this morning on the Power Breakfast Show. All right, so we head up towards our 8 a.m. news brief.
All right, so Trinidad and Tobago, have a fantastic day, and all our listeners, wherever you are. And of course, it's Thursday, so the weekend begins tonight on the second after midnight. Don't you forget it. You know we celebrate weekends, and we love weekends on the Power Breakfast Show. Have a fantastic day, whatever you do, and remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health.
Have a great day. Be safe, and join you again tomorrow morning, God's willing, for Friday's edition of the Power Breakfast Show.
This Friday, the 2024. All right. All right. Let's get into our news brief with Paul Richards. Let's get into it.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It's 7:59, Thursday, 4th January 2024. These are headlines making news to the hour. The funeral of former Prime Minister Basdeo Panday will be held next Tuesday morning at the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts SAPA in San Fernando. Persons can sign condolence books for the late Prime Minister today, Thursday, at the Red House, Friday and Monday, and various locations throughout Trinidad and Tobago, including regional and city corporations. Schools in Tobago will be closed today to allow representatives to attend the funeral service for Ho Choi Charles today. Charles died at the Scarborough General Hospital on December 31st at the age of 77. 2 men were shot dead and 3 other people injured in an attack in front of the Tunapuna Market along the Eastern Main Road last night. Police are continuing investigations. The judiciary moves to address the criminal backlog with its reduction project, and Anguilla targets Gulf tourism to lure visitors to the island. We'll have major news coming up at 12 noon.
Up to date and credible.